Hey folks, South Africans overcome. Many South Africans, black, white, and brown, when dealing with a situation in which the government has simply failed, they'll step into the fray, volunteer their time and even their resources and money to fix things that the government should be taking care of. But what happens when you do that? Well, if you're white, you become a target. Why do you become a target? Lots of reasons. Jealousy. You're interfering with black cater enrichment through BEE contracts, racism, and frankly, oftentimes simply because you've embarrassed the authorities who are overwhelmingly black and don't like the fact that they failed at service and don't care about the safety and welfare of their citizens. And when you fix the problem, you embarrass them and make them politically weak, and therefore they target you. I speak of three particular instances that have come to light in the past year. The first of which is a gentleman who started providing services, emergency response, to alert the police and inform the police when people were being attacked on farms and homes being invaded. He did so free of charge, devoted lots of his own money to it, only to become a target. Jealous people, so jealous of him that what they did is they filed bogus charges of child abuse against him and his spouse. The children were taken away. They've gone to court. The social worker has kept them in foster care, even though there's no evidence they ever committed anything against their children. The children have been interviewed by psychologists, been interviewed by the state, and there's nothing. The judge has said that the children should be returned, but the social workers have not returned their children. And the divide between these children and their parents is growing. The uncertainty, the cost of legal fees, all because of jealousy, because the state was failing to provide resources for police to communicate, and this gentleman helped the police communicate. And therefore, it became a target. Because, of course, such activities should be performed by enriched, entrenched, connected black cadres under a BE contract. But the jealousy and the embarrassment of the state all played a role. Beyond that, we saw last year where AfriForum, seeing the dilapidated state of public property and of people's lawns, began mowing lawns for free of charge at the request of residents, only for the city of Tshwane to try to take them to court to stop them. Why? Because that's the responsibility of a black economic enrichment cater that wasn't providing the service. They embarrassed the council, which is no longer under DA control. They embarrassed them, and therefore they went after people who were providing a public service free of charge of their own goodwill. And now the latest incident in Johannesburg, a gentleman who took his own money and fixed the dilapidated potholes on the street in front of his neighborhood free of charge, his time, and repaired it to the gratitude of his neighbors because the street was falling apart, vehicles being damaged, people's safety was put at risk as they had to slow down and make them, vulnerable to bandits and criminals who wanted to carjack and rob them. He fixed the street repeatedly. Now the city of Johannesburg is suing him because they failed. Now, let's be fair. Repair of potholes, it's not a rocket science. But then again, perhaps from an engineering standpoint, it's something that must be performed by a professional engineering firm or road repair crew. I'll accept that. But when the city neglects your roads year after year and doesn't repair it, and vehicles are damaged, cars are broken into, lives are put in danger, public safety is at risk, and the council ignores pleas from residents for year after year after year, when a private citizen steps in the fray to pick up a service that hasn't been done while money's gone to a crooked company somewhere because they're enriched and because they have the right tan, well, that's simply intolerable. So what we see are South Africans. Now, black South Africans have done the same thing and done improper repairs. We've seen where people put gravel into potholes, where they filled it with dirt, put mud in there, and rural roads throughout South Africa done by black South African residents. None of them are taken to court, ever. It's only white South Africans. So people trying to do a public service and a public good in the midst of state failure, and they're targeted for it. Another example of persecution that the government of South Africa denies. Why in God's green acre would anyone turn down free lawn mowing services unless you had concern about liability? But no one's concerned about liability in South Africa. They're concerned about cater enrichment. And that's the bottom line. This is what's happening in South Africa. Yet another example of the persecution of the minorities that's ignored by the press, ignored by everyone in politics, and is a real case of persecution. People being persecuted because they're providing a service that the state, under the control of the ANC, has failed to deliver. In one of these cases, it's the state under DA control. But the point here is that embarrassment, black cater enrichment, and outright racism, as well as jealousy, play roles in this. And what a shame. When the state fails and people try to help, this is how they get treated. Wow. Persecution's real. It's genuine. It's happening every day. And it's getting worse and worse. And that's the basis for President Trump's refugee program for Afrikaners and racial minorities. And to the fake media at the New York Times and all the other outlets, including everyone in South Africa, who continues to put quotations around the term refugee for lawful, legal refugees under the United Nations standards and under U.S. Immigration and Nationality Act, shame on you. And for anyone who denies these people are legitimate refugees, well, you're just jealous, or you're a racist, or you're dishonest. The facts are on the table. They've been on the table since February 2025, yet you continue to ignore it. One day, all you clowns will be exposed for the frauds that you are. What say you, South Africa? Mzansi. Cheers.